Hello, I'm the Irresolute Cartographer, and this is the game RimWorld by Ludeon Studios. It's a top-down, I guess you'd say city builder sort of thing, survival city builder, I guess. It's kind of along the lines of like a Dwarf Fortress, or let's see what else. A bit like No Moria, if you've ever played that. It's got a sci-fi theme to it. You can see down here it's the year 5503. It's the middle of winter, actually. This settlement here is in the middle of the desert. And it's a game that I've very much enjoyed. And it's been out for a while now in early access. And I originally played this probably a year and a half ago, something like that. I honestly don't remember exactly when I first started playing it. But I've been coming back to it every now and then since that time. And every time I've been impressed by the developments that they've made. The most recent thing they've done, actually, is they've added roads to the overall map and rivers. And you can see right here we've got a creek or a river or something like that. I don't know what kind it is, but it's moving along through this piece of territory, and that's actually something you can see in the overall map. And let's see. Yeah, here we go. All right. Yeah, here you go. You can see this is my settlement right here, right along that river in these mountains in the desert. And I had it generate the map to where it's 50% of the land of the surface of this planet is supposed to be covered in land. Which mainly I was doing that because I was looking for the proper landscape. I like to build things in mountains, and I also like to build them either on a creek or a road or something like that, just because I wanted to see how that worked out. So, you've got 3 different seeds you can start out as. You can either be, well, not either. You can start out as a group of 5 tribesmen who have just been displaced from their original village. You can be 3 colonists who have just dropped in, or you can be a single rich colonist. Or you start out with 1 single rich colonist, I guess. You're not really any of these people. You do have a limited amount of control over them. You can give them basic orders of what you want them to do through things like this work down here, where you can see I've got all these people that have different jobs. You can see right up here this one named Lumi is wounded. I wonder if she's, where is she exactly? She's on her way back in. What's wrong with her? Blood loss, minor. Okay, well, she'll be okay. Looks like she was attacked by a Finnick fox. Not entirely sure why. And she's now in a psychotic state, wandering in a daze. This is not good because it's the middle of winter and it's 16 degrees outside. So you can see right here I've got a big storage of food here. That was actually a problem early on because, well, I'll just tell you right here, JB, this character, see if it shows his actual full name, and there we go, Jens Winger, I guess. Anyway, he was my rich colonist, the first one here. As you can see, though, he doesn't do cooking, and that's, I think, because he's ascetic. And you get traits. Now, let me just go over this real quick. Alright, so you get the name of the character, basically their gender, and the name of the colony that they are in, and their age. Which right here it shows he's 41 years old biologically, but he's actually been frozen or something, I don't know. So he's actually 849 years. It's been 849 years since he was born. Apparently his backstory is that he was a medieval slave, and then became a factory worker in adulthood before becoming an incredibly rich colonist. He's incapable of doing research, that's the intellectual thing right here. Artistic means he's not able to create statues. You can see those like right here. Sculptures, I mean, that I used as trade goods. Let's see, where was that? There we go. And he's incapable of cooking. Now he's also sanguine, which means that he's generally, in a pretty good mood all the time. And he's ascetic, which means that he doesn't really care for cooked food, or at least very nice cooked food, and stuff like that. Let me take a look at this. She is still wandering along. Let me see if I can do anything about that. No, apparently not. Okay. Well, you can see I get most of my power here from solar generation. Actually, why am I... That was quite a sidetrack. Okay, back to the character here. The different skills are... determine basically how effective they are at the different tasks in the game. They can each be risen to 20, and they go up based on the amount of work that they actually do in that field. Now you see these little ones with these little flames next to them. That means they learn those faster than the other ones. So if I wanted to task him to animal taming, training, managing, and controlling, that would make his skill with animals go up really fast. Same thing with construction, growing, and crafting. Each one of these characters has different levels of skill and different things they're good at, different things they can't do. Like Sophia Jumper, Boyer, or Boyer, I don't know. Anyway, incapable of research from the intellectual and artistic, just like Jins, or Yins, I don't know. Anyway, as the characters, like, okay, so JB was the original character here. Started with just a little bit of food. Not a little bit, he actually came pretty good. He came with 40 days worth of food for him. Along with that, he came with his charge rifle, you can see right there. And what else? Some medicine and some money. And so I started out in this little tiny cave right up in here that I had him dig out and put a bed in there and then expanded slowly over time. Freckles came along. She was completely naked when she originally arrived, running away from a group of raiders, saved her from the raiders, and then one by one, all the rest of these people started showing up. Or there were people I captured, like, for example, I definitely remember capturing Gizmo. And who else? I know at least half of these people I've captured. Which actually, I've got one person over here. She may or may not make it. Or he may or may not make it, sorry. Let's see. Well, he's probably going to make it, even though he lost his right leg and right ring finger, which that can be a pretty big part of this game. You can see that he's got whole body blood loss, some old scratch scar here, gunshots, and infection. How's that infection going? If you look at that, you can see that... Oh, there it is again. Infection, major, 44%, meaning he's 44% of the way to death, but he also has 48% immunity. And so long as he's cared for, that immunity will continue to go up. And so long as that reaches 100% before infection reaches 100%, he'll survive that. Now, if he does eventually join my group, which I'll make sure... Yeah, I've already got it set to chat and recruit. It says recruitment difficulty at 99%, but if they just talk to them every day, eventually they wear them down to where they join you. And you might think, why would you want to bring someone in who, like, let's see about this character. Lazy, which global work speed minus 20. He's nervous, which means he's going to break more easily. He doesn't really have all that high of skills. But at the end of the day, he's also only 18, which means that he's definitely going to be able to grow a lot of these skills. Because he'll have a lot of time to do that. Oh, colonist needs rescue. Go rescue them. What? Oh, plague. That's bad. That's really bad. Okay, plague can pretty much just end everything. In fact, I need to find all these people immediately. Okay, you. Okay, you. She's still wandering in a daze. Osaka, my sculptor. Go rest until you're healed. JB, oh, that's not good. Founder of the colony sick. Cheddar. JB's also... Oh, did I? Cheddar's already... Okay. Add animal. This will be interesting. You'll be able to watch these auto turrets go into effect. You can build security defenses. In this case, I got some sandbags here with some auto turrets. So long as I have power, those things will be able to fire on any enemy. Same thing with some auto turrets over there, but we'll pay attention here first. Oh, it's dead. That was quick. This right here is Mazel Tov. He's the male timber wolf that JB brought along with him. And let's tell Freckles. Can't walk anyway. I'll have to wait until she's up and about. Anyway, where was I before the plague? I honestly don't remember. Oh, no? Okay. Why I would want to bring Chet on. That's where I was. Okay, so, yeah, he's missing a leg, but I can give him a new leg. And because it's the future, 5503, I can actually give him a fully functional leg or even one that works better than his existing leg would have been. Now, to do that sort of thing, you have to go through research, which I'll just show you the research tree right here. I didn't start out with all this stuff, but I've been raising it slowly over time, and that rate has actually been increasing as my research has been getting better. I'll have to research a hospital bed at some point, and once I've got a hospital bed, which I'll have to turn that on to research. I didn't have anything research turned on anything because I didn't have a high-tech research bench, which is what I have here now. And without a high-tech research bench, I couldn't work on any of this stuff. So now I'm working on a hospital bed. But yeah, so I can completely heal his leg, and he can end up with completely much better stats in the future than he even has now. Or than, you know, a lot of other people you might get in their 50s who have somewhat better stats, but have basically reached the peak of where they're going to be. They might get a little bit better over time, but people aren't going to live forever, you know. So, okay, so I'll just give you a little rundown on the base here real quick. I've got this food storage area, which is quite full. I've got, in the desert you can only grow basically in the shade, I guess, right along the edge of the these cliffs, which is what I've been doing here. You can see I've got all these little fields, very small ones, but you know, they all add up over time, and along with that I've got these hydroponic farms in here growing potatoes, which has definitely led to us having no want for food. So again, hydroponic farming area. Then this right here is the workshop, where we've got a smithy where they can make melee weapons, an electronic tailoring bench where they make clothing, steel stone cutter's table where they're going to make stone blocks, which is what you can see I've made most of my floors and walls out of, because it's the most ready resource I've got available. Until recently, I actually had almost no wood whatsoever. You can see right here, I've actually got a pretty good stockpile of it, but before, there were no trees here. I had to actually plant all these trees. You can see I've kind of walled in these areas and made it so that anybody who comes in has to go through these choke points with the guns. Now, that's not always been the case, because they have been consistently trying to dig right through this wall, and every single time I reinforce it and make it bigger, and they just keep on trying to come through, even though there's this nice little area right here. Food poisoning from milk. That seems to be a very common thing for them to get food poisoning. I'm not really entirely sure why. I've got cold storage here at 26 degrees Fahrenheit. So, I mean, nothing in here should be going bad. In fact, it says it's frozen and won't spoil, but anyway. Cold snap is over, that's good. Temperatures are going to rise outside. So, you can see, okay, workshop, again here. Machining table, that's where we can make guns. Sculptor's table, that's where we can make statues and sell those, sculptures, I mean. Dining room, just where they gather to eat, or we've also got a marriage spot here. I mean, it's not really the most glamorous spot, but it's really one of the only communal areas. Along with that, we've got a kitchen that also has the research bench in it, because this was originally the only room I had to put it in. I barely had expanded out to like this area here. I didn't have any of this area back here, so I had to find a place for it, put it right there. And unfortunately, you can't move them. Like a lot of these things, like this. Well, no, where have we got something? Okay, this, for example. I can reinstall this pretty much anywhere I want, so long as there's room for it. Can't do it with this. I'd have to deconstruct it, and at this point, I may as well do it, actually, because I've got the high-tech research bench. I don't know that this thing is even actually useful anymore. Okay, let's see. Lumi had the plague. Who else had the plague? Let me see if I can figure that out real quick. Freckles, JB, Jumper, Lumi. Lumi has the plague, but she's still wandering in a daze. I'm seriously surprised she doesn't have frostbite or hypothermia. Oh, Alita is basically the one that I've made the janitor. She's missing her right foot, left fourth toe, and her left pinky. So she moves kind of slowly, so I generally have her stay inside. I think she also takes care of prisoners. But anyway. Sokka has the plague. Fritz has nothing wrong with him. Nate has nothing. Veronica has a bite scar. Gizmo has a missing right arm. Maria's got a shattered rib and some scars. Weber has his left arm shot off, or her left arm shot off. She was a prisoner, and she tried to escape twice from this prison, which you can see this prison, it's pretty far from the rest of my base, and I typically don't do that. But when I was first getting things established, this was a freestanding structure that already existed, so all I had to do was install a door, and then eventually I put in an AC unit. But that's why it's so far away from my territory. But she broke out of here and ran straight into these guns and lost an arm. It was just stupid of her. And anyway, and Chirpy's got nothing wrong with her. So I guess it's just those four, including Lumi, if I can ever get her to go in there. I mean, she's got to get out of her daze, which I can go into that real quick. Needs. This is basically how all the things affecting her mood right here. She's got low expectations, so you know that makes her feel a little bit better. She's apparently feeling good despite the fact that she's wandering around in the cold and has the plague. She's wearing worn out clothing. She's uncomfortable from doesn't really say why. In darkness, in an ugly environment, sick. Her mother, Kimmy, died. Kimmy was a raider who tried to attack us, and we ended up killing her. Joy-deprived, tired, in acute pain, and starving. Now, all, like, these two, okay, she could go eat, she could go use some medicine, she could go to sleep, or she could go play pool, or, the hell is it called, horseshoes, or she could go play chess with Cheetah if she wanted to. And all those things could be fixed if she wasn't wandering around in a state. But unfortunately she is. So, can't really do anything about that at the moment. Okay, here we go. Inventory. You can see she's got a machine pistol, a cowboy hat, t-shirt, armor vest, cloth jacket, and some cloth pants. And all these different characters have different clothing. They all arrived, well, I would say half of them arrived. In fact, especially the ones who were not raiders arrived naked. And ended up making clothing for them here at the electric tailoring bench, which you can see I've got the constant thing to keep making these things until you have a certain amount, and they store that back here, which it looks like my entire storage area is full. So continuing with the tour of the base, which I keep getting sidetracked from, back here we just got a storage area. We got bricks in here, we got stuff to make medicine, cloth, clothing, sculptures, medicine supposed to help ward off sickness. We've got an armory effectively right here, although I didn't really set this area to be an armory, I just ended up dropping all that there. And this is a storage area for wood. This is my vault back here. This is where we're mining in order to find resources. Let's see, what else? Okay, bedrooms, obviously. And then this is the hospital. The hospital I've actually got made with sterile tile on the floor. Sterile tile is made out of silver and steel, so the silver actually is it inhibits bacterial growth, so it makes it so you've got a lower chance of infection. So yeah, solar power out here. Sun shines on them all day. They store the power up in these batteries, and then it's used at night. It's used during the day as well, obviously, but we don't get the power generation during the night. Let's see, so survived the infection. Looks like he's probably gonna die of plague. His plague is at 60. Okay, what are you doing up, JB? You've got the plague. Okay, had to eat and going back to bed. And it looks like he might die as well. 60 towards death and 50 healing. Looks like Osaka might die. Freckles is likely gonna die. That's not good. I don't think I've got much in the way of medicine right now is part of the problem. I haven't really gotten to where I can make medicine yet, and it's winter, so all of my medicinal herbs are dead. So that's unfortunate. Just a quick overview of the fields out here. These are all the graves, and none of these are actually filled with any of my colonists. They're all attackers. Let's see what else. Yeah, so this is where we grow Devil Strand. It's a fungus that they use to make textiles for really high quality stuff. This area again is where they're growing heel root. They're growing more heel root there. Cotton there. Rice there. Corn there. Potatoes there. So I mean this area is mostly food. And then we got trees over the rest of the area. And I'm actually not even using that all that much because I developed my economy along the lines of not using wood because I didn't have any of it. And now I've got a bunch of it and I've got no use for it other than making sculptures. So that's what they're using a lot of it for. Yeah, so using the power, I regulate the temperature of the interior of this area. So that's why it's 66 degrees indoors while it's 47 outside and 29 or 26, I mean, over here in the frozen area. During the winter, obviously, you have to turn on the heaters. During the summer, you got to turn on the AC units. And actually, I'm using AC units here to create a refrigerator, which is a neat touch that they added to the game. And let's see, you use it for lighting as well. People don't like living in the dark. I generally try to make all the bedrooms somewhat equal. I mean, some people are jealous as one of their traits, so they don't like it if other people have better rooms than them. Like, let's see right here, jealous. It's degrading to have a less impressive bedroom than someone else, and it gets a mood loss if someone else has a better bedroom, which I don't really care about that all that much. I mean, let's see. And apparently he's okay with his bedroom anyway, so let's see, exhaustion. Okay, Lumi, stop wandering in a daze and you won't be so exhausted. And you probably are gonna die of plague, aren't you? 71% to 47, yeah, she's definitely gonna die. I mean, the malnutrition doesn't help. Let's see, what else? So we got some tamed animals. We got a camel there. The timber wolf. Yeah, we got an iguana. I think we might actually have 2 iguanas. Got one rat that decided to tame itself. And a emu that apparently has been named Squeaky. Got, okay, some other storage areas. This used to be a wall down here, and there wasn't really anything down here. Now it's right in the middle of the hallway going into the hospital. But this is where I'm storing plasteel, which is a really hard material you can use to make some really hard stuff. I got steel there. What else? I think that's pretty much it for most of the base. Oh, my wolf is hauling rice. That's a neat thing. You can train animals, and in this case, Mazel Tov has all these skills trained up, thanks to JB, which unfortunately JB's probably going to die. Let's see. 63 to 58. He might make it. 64, 58. It's going to be close. Let's see about Cheddar. 65, 61. We'll have to see. So, the overall map. Pretty large. You can make them larger than this. You can make them smaller than this. You can see I got chunks of rock lying around all over the place. There used to be a lot of nodes of material. I've mined most of them out. Then you've also got remains of old buildings. I've taken a lot of those down as well, just to take the building materials. You can see here where I've mined out a bunch of steel. They just haven't even brought it back in yet, because it's not really all that high priority thing. You can see right here a bow that was dropped by an attacker when they were killed. Let's see, what are you up to, Weber? Oh, hauling steel to the steel stockpile. Now you can see here I've marked off more areas to mine steel out, which you mine steel in this, which, I mean, hopefully at some point in the future they'll make it so there's a little bit more complex a system, because in real life you don't mine steel, you mine iron, and then you make it into steel. But at the moment it's just compacted steel. Same thing with computer circuits. You find them smashed up in the wall, called compacted computers or something like that. Let's see if I got... Now, I mined out a couple sections of compacted computers in the walls back here, but I haven't found any more recently. So yeah, I mean, overall, this game has just been getting better a little bit at a time, constantly. I'll show you the look of one of the other bases I built, one of the 5 Wanderer ones. Be right back. Alright, this was the base that was founded by 5 cavemen. Oh, looks like they are under attack by a scyther. What is that thing shooting at? I just paused it. Looks like it's shooting at Gavin, our buck. You can see this one uses a lot more wood in its construction, because I have access to a lot more wood, and also because they started off lower in tech. Now, you can see they're getting to the point where we've almost got electricity, and I know I probably should have done electricity before Go Juice, which Go Juice is a stimulant for combat. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to do it across the screen rather than skip things and come back. But this base has got a couple different things to it. Like, we got a nice little kitchen down in here. Fueled stove, because we don't have electricity. We got this common room that's got a dining table and a pool table. We got a little barracks right here for anybody brand new who comes in. If we don't have a bed ready for them yet, they'll stay there until we get them a room. Got a passive cooler in here, which uses evaporation of water to cool the air down to 59, 60 degrees in there while it's 78 outside, which is not that hot at night, but it can get pretty warm during the day. Because we're in the southern hemisphere, Decembery, which, by the way, they do 4-month seasons, and they just do those as basically the months as you go through. They call them quadrums. So Decembery, because we're in the southern hemisphere, is the middle of winter. So yeah, components, that was some compacted machinery back in there. You can see this is a river flowing through right here, and that's a dirt road that's been built through here. There's also some packs of animals and stuff. There's a lot more animals in this area. I had to plant this little forest here because I've harvested every other forest in the area. You can see, here we go, compacted machinery. Sorry, not compacted computers. But you can see I've got 8 settlers here. Started out as 5. We had 3 new people join us. And yeah, I mean, this one, it's a nice little place. Not much light or anything like that. I'm planning on adding that in once they get electricity. This crafting room here is definitely bigger than the one I've got in the other base. And they've even got a brewery here. And they've also got a drug lab, which let's see what they can make there. Pinozycycline, which is, I believe, the drug that helps prevent disease. Flake, Yayo, and Wake Up. I think Flake and Yayo are effectively illicit drugs. Let's see. Got a unfinished great bow here lying on the floor next to the fueled smithy. And then we've also got this over here, where at the brewery they make wort, and then they deposit the wort in fermenting barrels, and there it becomes beer. And then we can either use the beer ourselves or sell it, and it's a pretty good commodity to have. Another little armory here, not much of anything, but I mean, this is a sword we made right here. And then a small storage area. And you can see I've just got a vent going to the outside here. And that's because there's not really anything I can do. I can't really refrigerate these things. They're going to spoil. Luckily, these things spoil slowly because they're close to non-perishables, I mean, with some of this stuff, especially rice. But during the middle of winter, I can open that thing up and it'll actually freeze everything in here, and during the summer, I'll close the vent, and it won't let any of the heat in. Which, that is a feature they added since the last time I played the game, which, that's a very nice feature that you can actually close the vents. Got some pets here. Obviously, the buck outside, Gavin. Along with that, we got a warg by the name of Scarborough. A gazelle that has not been named, and a cat named Terrifying. So, kind of neat stuff there. Alright, so the Scyther is about to attack, so I will give you a look at the combat system. Just real quick, traps. This is one of the main defenses when you don't have sentry weapons. You drop these traps down, enemies wander over them, they get killed. Got a few more right up there. It used to be, and I don't know, maybe it still is and I haven't seen it, but it used to be that your own people would trigger the traps, so you'd have to create like no-go zones in order to make sure that they didn't accidentally wander into them, other than the times that they're supposed to be in there rearming the traps. Now, along with that, I feel like I've seen fewer enemies actually tripped up by the traps, but it just could be my imagination. Just real quick, growing potatoes, cotton, corn, hops for the beer, and rice. And then again, obviously, these oak arbor out there. I was thinking orchard, and I was like, that's definitely not, that's not correct. It's not an orchard. Okay. Let's see. This is going to be a fight here. Now, you have to always check what your guys' traits are and see if they're actually even capable of fighting. In this case, they're not capable of anything. Let's see. Donkey, Hero, Pico, Black, Crowio, Stomp, and Stone. All of them are capable of fighting, which is good. I've had it be the case that you find some of them that are incapable of violence, which I've actually ended up with an entire colony that died, in part because of the 3 members of it, one of them wasn't willing to fight. And he was literally killed in his bed by a pack of snow rabbits, which... There aren't many other games out there where you can get killed by snow rabbits, but this is one of them. You get these things called manhunter packs that come through. Random animal. Sometimes they can be dangerous, sometimes not. It depends on really how your people are doing. In that case, my people were half starving and stuff like that already, and then snow rabbits came in and they were, you know, annihilated, and then a raid happened at the same time. Boomalopes are incredibly dangerous to have come in a manhunter form, because you get these animals that come running in, and as soon as they die, they explode and shoot flames everywhere. But anyway, let's take a look at this Scyther. Scythers are insectoid aliens, or mechanoids or something like that. Anyway, so let's get some people ready to fight this thing. Okay. Okay, it's time to draft everybody, which is how you start the combat. So I don't like having to wake everybody up right when they've just gone to sleep. You can see right now it's 1 a.m. and some people are still heading to bed. Get them all up. And Biko, because you don't have any weapon, I'm going to tell you to get that longsword. Anybody else not have a weapon? Yes, Stone. You are getting a poor steel knife. A lot of these people have just really gotten their first set of actual clothing. You can still see some of their tribal wear lying around in here. So. Okay. Let's see, you all head up in here. Except for I need Stone to grab that knife. I forgot about that. Alright, Biko's got his sword. Stone's got his knife. Alright, let's see how I do with this. Now, let's actually separate the ranged folks real quick. There we go. Okay. Let's go over there with them. I'm in from behind with the ranged guys. Oh, man, my own guys are getting hit. You rescue that guy. Alright, we took him down, and who is wounded and how badly? Stone is wounded. Or Stomp, I guess. I guess he's being taken back to his room. Rico is wounded. A couple of gunshots. See, that's the unfortunate thing. My people were wounded by our own weapons, which, once I get most of my people to have ranged weapons, it won't be as much of an issue. Shot off. Oh, wow. Shot off foot. That is not good. Now, either one of them could have done that. That either could have been done by the LMG or by the charge rifle that the insectoid out there was carrying. Stomp has a shattered rib and some cuts. Whoa, why is nobody... Seriously? No one's treating them? Okay, well, yeah, this needs to be dealt with. Sorry to have to wake you all up, but you're letting your friends die in their sleep. Okay. There we go. Okay, so they're going to take care of that now. A couple things that I've noticed here, and I don't know if this is the norm across the board, but I've been almost having to force these people to refuel their stove. They never seem to do it on their own, which I'm sure I've not checked something properly here. And yes, I know that Nightingale here is tasked to almost nothing but research and cleaning, but that's because if you don't task someone almost exclusively to cleaning, the place is just going to get filthy. And then whenever she's not cleaning, she goes in and she does research. So that's all her work is. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure something in here. Handle, maybe, is, no? See, I don't really know. Someone is not refueling the stove and the smithy. Oh, that's all I know. And so I'm having to effectively click on these guys and tell them to prioritize hauling wood into the stove. Which is a little bit annoying because they'll just half the time won't do that job because there's not any fuel there. And yeah. Wait, Stomp still? Oh, jeez. You donkey, go prioritize that. And again, unfortunate that I have to keep these people up, but if they don't do something, these people are going to die. Yeah, look right there. Black, even though he just had his foot shot off, it's been bandaged up, he's not going to die. Same thing with Biko. But Stomp is going to die in 6.5 hours, if somebody doesn't deal with this, because he's losing blood at a ridiculous rate right now. So she's got some herbal medicine in there. Applying it. And there we go. Fixed that, and so it added 2 hours to his possible lifespan. You notice that I've got these passive coolers here. I talked to you about them earlier, but during the winter I actually replaced them with bonfires, which would be a really bad idea to do that indoors, especially if you didn't have really good ventilation. But it's what keeps the interior here from freezing and keeps the people alive. So, let's see, how's he doing now? Death in 24 hours. One more to bandage, and he should be good to go. And you'll notice he's got blood loss, which that's something that now that he's no longer losing blood will slowly recover over time. You can see it's at 47% right now. But if I click the speed up, 46. And like I said before, someone's not fueling the stove, which means that no one is eating cooked food because no one's cooking food because the stove is not powered. And simply because the stove's not powered, people aren't willing to go and cook food. Infection. Pico now has an infection. That's probably not going to be too much of an issue. I mean, his immunity, even with no one treating it, is right behind it. And for some reason, people still aren't treating it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there we go. 13 to 11, 14 to 12, 15 to 13, 16 to 14. It'll catch up here. Major break risk. Stone. What is wrong with stone? Experiencing acute pain and urgently hungry. Has no one been bringing him food? A lot of people don't seem to be doing doctoring. Stomp. Why did you get out of bed? Probably someone wasn't bringing him food. Anyway, I probably just have my people prioritized wrong. For example, Black here is making beer at the moment when all these other people need help. Anyway, I'll check out the... actually, I'll give you a look at the colony that failed. Be right back. Alright, and this is the colony that failed. You can see we've got dead colonists in here. And you can see the corpses of a lot of animals, including snow hares. And this was just a horribly unfortunate set of events that took place here. You can see we had solar panels outside. They had power. They had food, finally, because I built this entire walled-in area where they had grow lamps keeping these crops growing all year long. And so I'll just give you a quick synopsis of what happened here. So I had these, actually I had 4 characters. I'm not sure where... Oh, right, one of them got burned to death. That was a even more unfortunate thing than what happened to the rest of them. So we had, let's see which ones here. Yeah, so we had Jake and Steven and Yuna, and I can't even remember the name of the other one who died. Which is... Anyway, Jake here, incapable of violence. He was literally beaten to death in his own bed by a snow rabbit, and he didn't do anything about it. That was really a bit ridiculous. So, anyway, this was pretty early on. I just had the barracks set up. I had a little cold room down here. Still cold, actually. And that's because I've got this one solar panel still running and powering these batteries. And, I mean, they're powering 3 lights and these 3 coolers, which you can see here I had prioritized them to turn the coolers off before they had died, but it was too late. Because my hope was wait until someone else shows up and then they can make use of this area. But and that can happen. You can lose everything and then you can still have new colonists show up and try to make use of the land. Yeah, you can see right here I had this little tiny arbor. Wasn't much of anything. I was trying to build more solar generators. And so again, the little bit of synopsis of what happened. So early on they had trouble finding food, and that's really my fault. I didn't grow enough food quickly enough. So they were going around searching for food. barely getting by. I had them hunt a few animals, but not nearly enough. And then, so everyone was experiencing some minor starvation. And that's when the Snow Rabbit Manhunter pack appeared. And they managed to beat Steven and Yuna into submission out here. And I had Jake go out and pull them back in. I was hoping just, hold down the fort inside, which I forgot to mention. The other woman, the one who used to have this bed, she was off wandering in a field out here somewhere because she was really angry that she hadn't eaten in a while. And this was after she beat the dog, which I can show you right here. You can still see the bruises from human fists and stuff. And so after she finished beating the dog, she wandered off in the wilderness for a while, killed this hare right here. And then so while all this crazy stuff's happening with the snow rabbits, suddenly raiders attack, and they come running in here, and they set fire to the solar panels, and that fire spreads to the greenhouse, burns the greenhouse down. Now, as they're working on destroying these solar panels down here, she comes wandering back down in, sees them, runs over to try to fight them, and then the fight ends up over here in the greenhouse, and then she collapses and is consumed in the flames that are bringing down the greenhouse. And that was the end of the colony as the raiders went inside and killed this dog. I actually think the dog just died on his own, but anyway, it was frustrating because I had actually just gotten everything to where it should have worked had everything not happened bad all at the same time. If I hadn't been hit by the Snow Bunny Raider pack, if I hadn't been hit by the raiders, if she hadn't been off wandering around in a field, none of this probably would have happened. But all three happened all at once, and everyone was experiencing malnutrition. So I mean, it was the end. I had actually a full crop of food here that was ready to go, but no one was able to harvest it. You can see they're dealing with malnutrition. It's unfortunate, but luckily, I don't know about luckily, but I was so frustrated with this, I actually did cheat a little bit, which you can go into the developer mode and spawn new colonists, and I'll show you what the colony looks like after I did that. Alright, yeah, this is a ways down the road here. And, yeah. You can see the basic outline of it's still the same, but obviously far more developed. I've got actual bedrooms back here now. This main room has expanded a little bit. I replaced what was a little tiny jail right here with a hospital. And then I've got a storage room, a large battery bank, an actual little prison here. And then a room with some fuel generators because I was not getting anywhere near enough sunlight in the winter. And also just because these things are really expensive in terms of components and stuff to build. So I got these things built and they just fuel them with wood, and that way we get power at night. And right down here you got the grow room where they're growing heel root and potatoes, rice, corn, and cotton. And then this is my storage area for chunks of rock. I've got nothing I can do with them just yet. I also got some arbors out here where we're growing stuff. Then this is the road that goes into the overall map view. And you can actually do missions on the map. I've not done any of them just yet because I more so like focusing on base building than on the adventuring part of the game. But I'm sure there are some people out there who really enjoy the adventuring part. So, alright, well, I hope this has given you a little bit of an idea of the feel of the game. It's a really good game. Something I would absolutely recommend to anybody who likes this kind of survival management simulator. I mean, sometimes it can be a little too RNG heavy, where it can feel a bit unfair because there's nothing you really can do about it. Like, for example, that first colony I showed you where everyone's dying of the plague. I mean, there's nothing I really did to incur that plague. It's not like I was like, hey, why don't you all go wander into a infested ruin or something like that. You know, it just happened right off the bat, which I'll grant you it happens. But it's not really a risk-reward sort of thing in that case. It's just you're kind of screwed by RNG. It's unfortunate, but I don't think it really takes away from the game as a whole. I think the game is good even, despite that sort of thing happening. So, yeah. It's something I think I've gotten 100 hours of enjoyment out of, and Pretty low price, I think 15 bucks. Let me check that. 30 bucks actually on Steam right now, which even at that price, I'd absolutely recommend it. I mean, it's a very well fleshed out game, and they keep adding to it all the time. Very responsive developer team, and again, absolutely recommend it. All right, this has been the Resolute Cartographer. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. If you want to see more videos of mine, hit the subscribe button. You'll get notifications when they become available. Hope to see everybody again next time. Thanks.